Okay, so it's okay. So yeah, so our brain is a prediction machine, and it often tries, it doesn't just passively record everything that's happening, but it tries to form connections. And have you guys heard of the very famous saying in neuroscience that neurons that wire together fire together? So let me repeat that: neurons that wire together fire together. So this is basically that we form connections, right? We form connections in our neurons when we think of something. And then if we keep thinking of that, those connections become stronger and stronger. And as a result, we learn. Okay. And that is why it's a kind of a tip to you guys. That's why we say that active recall is one of the best methods to study, because you're repeating it constantly and you're making those neurons fire over and over again. And therefore, more neurons keep firing together. And as a result, we have learning. Okay, so our brain constantly predicts things. For example, you kept something on a table. Okay, you've seen it over multiple days, but you don't really like pay attention to it. But your brain predicts that it's already there because it's stored in your memories. You've had like constant reinforcements of those memories, and as a result you think that, hey, it's probably there, and an illusion happens when you guess, and that guess is kind of stronger than the raw signal. So for example, the same thing, when there's where you've kept something on the table. Now you look at the table and the thing is not there, but your brain has seen it like on that specific position for the past 10 days. So your brain assumes, so when your brain assumes and the guess is kind of stronger than the reality in front of you, that is when we say that it's an illusion. Hey, does that make sense? Does that make sense? If anyone didn't get it, I will explain again. Yes, exactly. So now, when these illusions, I can give you another example as well. For example, if you watched the movie Conjuring, for example, at the theater, right? And you have like a dark room in the theater, and you see like this a possible ghost or whatever, the nun or whatever, is standing in the corner of the room in the dark. Okay, now that has been in your brain, so it doesn't have to be constantly reinforced as well. It could happen just after one time you think, right? So those connections have been made now, and then now you know in the movie that there's a dark room, and in the corner of the dark room there's someone standing there. Now you come home, you're asleep in your room, right? And then you're awake by chance, okay? And then you look at the door, it's completely dark, and then you imagine a figure there. Now it's not actually there, but since you already had that in your mind before, it kind of mixes and matches, that memory is retrieved, those brain regions start working again, those neurons start firing, and then you see that exact figure standing there. So here it's an imagination, right? But if you're convinced that that is there, and you're not deny you're not in denial of the fact that you're imagining it, then you're in an illusion. Okay, so let me separate imagining things and being an illusion. In an illusion, you're not aware of the thing that it's not real. You think you're convinced that it is real, but if you're in an imagination scenario, you know that you're imagining it. If that makes sense, your self consciousness is kind of involved more in imagination because you're aware that you're imagining it. But in illusion, your self consciousness is completely absent, and you think that it's real. Okay, so that's the difference between the two. And an illusion is extremely interesting because there's quite a few illusions that you might not believe are illusions, but they are. Okay, so let's get into a little more detail about the different brain regions here as well. They're quite similar to dreams, but a little more nuanced. So here first we talk about the visual cortex. Again, it builds what you think you see. So you think that it's there, but it's not really there. But since you have an image of it in your brain, the visual cortex supplies these images and it sends feedback and it kind of fills these edges. It kind of puts that object there. It gives you a little more shading, for example. It gives you the details, the shadows, and everything. And therefore, it builds that image that it's right there. Okay. And then we have the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex, it uses expectations and context. Again, expectations. The brain is fueled by expectations and familiarity. Okay, so it tries to use these expectations and interpret ambiguous, like random information. And when this information seems to be, how do I put it? If this information seems to convince your brain that that is actually happening, and the brain chooses the wrong interpretation, then you stick with the illusion and you're not convinced that it is not real. Okay, and then we have the hippocampus. Now, the hippocampus, again, memory. So, again, when we have an illusion or when we look at something that's not really there, your brain sends familiarity signals. It says that, oh, I've seen this before, so it must be there. It tries to make connections, it tries to make story, it doesn't just passively record, as I mentioned. So it says that, oh, it's actually there because I've seen this before. Okay, I know that it exists. So that gives you more credibility, that gives the brain more credibility to actually put things in place. Okay, and as a result, the neurons misfire and you get memory illusions like deja vu, and things feel familiar and things feel that it happened because they've happened to you previously and they are similar to what's happening right now, and therefore you imagine it to be identical, if that makes sense. Okay, this is extremely interesting. But yeah, and then lastly, the amygdala, which is again emotion. So this kind of adds emotional weight to everything else that I had mentioned previously, right? So it just adds the feelings of thrill, feelings of scariness, feeling of ownership, feelings of all sorts of feelings basically to what you're imagining. So now let's get into two very common illusions, right? So the first illusion is deja vu. Okay, so deja vu is basically, have you guys experienced deja vu? Anyone? Yes. Okay. So it's when you are in a new situation that kindly feels familiar. Okay. It feels like you have lived it before, even though you know logically that you have not. All right. And here the brain regions that are involved are the hippocampus, which is kind of like, again, the memory part. So it detects a pattern or detects features that are quite similar to memories that you have. Okay. And because it's familiar and the brain relies on expectations and predictions and familiarity, it convinces itself that that is exactly what's happening again. And therefore, you feel so like, oh, I've been here before, I've felt this before, I've experienced this before. It's because your brain is convincing it itself as it has a familiar, like similar experience that you've already had before. Okay, and the prefrontal cortex, it tries to find the actual memory, which is the real event that occurred, but it can't retrieve it, right? But there's a strong familiarity that is left behind, so it believes that it's the same. So you say that, oh, I know this has happened. So that's why in deja vu itself, when you're experiencing deja vu, you can't recall exactly what happened that it makes you feel like you've relived the memory. You can't recall the exact thing that or experience that you felt, but you know that it's happened before. And in reality, it probably hasn't. It's probably just two similar things that you've started to make up or mix between the two, and as a result, you think that it's the same. Okay, so therefore that's what is written in the prediction. The prediction wins over logic, and you feel that it is familiar even though you know it is new. Okay, so people often feel that they can predict what happens next. So some people say that when they have deja vu, they can easily predict that what's gonna happen, what's the next event in line, and that sort of gives them credibility to why they think that it's happened before. But this is actually not true. Scientific research has proven that predictions are no better than guessing. They just feel that familiarity, and as a result, their brain is so convinced that it has happened. So yeah, it is an illusion. Sad to say, I thought it wasn't. I thought it wasn't. I thought I was just like a genius that I remembered every single thing that has happened in my life, but it wasn't. So and there is a video. Would you guys like to watch the video? It's 4 minutes long. It's quite cute. Or would you like to finish the entire session and then come back to the videos afterwards? Okay, we'll watch the video. Okay, perfect. I think there's, yeah, a question. Then what do sometimes it does happen? Is that a coincidence? Yeah, that's a coincidence. That I would say is a coincidence. But in neuroscience terms, these are just memories that are similar. Because yeah, it's just similar. Again, yeah, Amrita, that's an amazing question. Is that an illusion when you mistake one thing for another? Example, a lip liner for a pencil. I would say so, yes, because it's not true, right? It's not exactly what's happening, but this familiarity kind of joins them or mixes them up. So I would say yes, that is an illusion. And you would think that, oh, illusion. I would expect the illusion term would to mean something more, but it's really just this. But yeah, it is just this. It's very cool. Okay, we'll put the video on. I'll Let me know if you guys can see it. Oh, no, we don't want any properties. Can you guys hear it? Is no? Just give me a second.
Hi, Uzra. Actually, in Google Meets, the voices are usually not shared from the videos, so we would only be able to see the video.
Ah, okay. You can't really hear it, is it? Um, let me just check once if it's possible, and then I will. Yeah, yeah, I can. Okay, I can. I can share the video. 1 second. Just give me 1 second, guys. Okay, I don't think you guys can hear it. Let me turn on the subtitles.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, I think you can hear it when I'm unmuted, so I'm just gonna let it be like this. Is it fine now?
Psychologist Endel Tulving said, remembering is mental time travel.
Soy latte for Joe.
Perfect, perfect.
Remembering is one of the greatest powers that we possess. The ability to learn from our past, to return to where we've been, so we can decide where we're going.
Oh, man.
But can we return to where we've never been?
Soy latte for Joe.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Sworn I just. Is it weird? Does this seem familiar? I feel like I've seen this before.
Oh, man.
Or as the French would say, deja vu. As many as 90% of us will experience deja vu during our lives, mainly in our teens and 20s, and almost never before age 8 or 9. Deja vu isn't a physical phenomenon we can pinpoint in a brain scan. It's a feeling, and not one that we totally understand. But we've got a few theories. Our memories aren't exact copies that we just write once and then store like files on a computer or pictures in a box under our bed. Remembering is really more like reliving. Our brains are constantly scanning our senses to determine if what we're experiencing is familiar. And once we label a stimulus as familiar, a different brain region called the hippocampus recalls the memory associated with it, refiring the neural circuits that hold that piece of our past. And we live the experience again in our minds. If these steps get out of sync, if something is deemed familiar but we fail to recall the context, that could be deja vu. But that doesn't explain why we feel deja vu for experiences that are truly unfamiliar, or why we don't experience it for every familiar thing.
Soy latte for Joe.
Yep. We don't realize how hard our brains work behind the scenes, filtering our environment, the scene type, unconsciously determining if what we experience is new until it doesn't work. Oh,
Oh, ma'am.
Our various sensory inputs, smells, sounds, sights, are normally processed and mixed together as one event. Another deja vu theory says if one of those stimuli is recorded out of sync, the late arriving information could be flagged as a different event, which makes it feel as if it's happened before. Or it could be a malfunction in how memories are made in the first place. Normally, new experiences stop off in our short term memory before being written into long term storage. Skip the first, and it could feel like we're recalling new events as old ones. Or perhaps when we focus on one part of our environment, the rest of our world drifts to the unconscious. And when we snap back to reality, it feels like we've been there before, because we have, just now. These feelings of misplaced familiarity are familiar to us, but the what, the where, and the why of deja vu remain unknown.
So a lot different.
Got it, thanks. All in all, there's dozens of plausible explanations for it, and maybe more than one is right. Bless you. There's no neat answer, but no mind or memory is perfect. The only way we'll get to the bottom of deja vu is to experience it all over again.
Oh, ma'am.
Yeah, I feel it. Stay curious.
Amazing. Let's move on to the next.
We'd like to think
Oh,
we walk through our lives.
yeah. Next illusion. Yeah. Yes. Oh no.
Yes.
One second. Yeah. Okay. So the next illusion is the rubber hand illusion. How many of you guys have seen this happen before, or seen a reel on this, or like a TikTok video on this illusion? Exactly. So this is basically a fake rubber hand is kind of touched or stroked in sync with your real hidden hand. And after a few seconds, your brain starts to feel that that rubber hand is part of your body. So I want you guys to make a theory on what you think has happened in this scenario without looking at this screen, obviously, and put it in the chat. You know, what brain regions you think are involved in making this illusion feel so real. Yeah, please go ahead. Exactly. Okay. Thank you, Amrita. But yeah, so basically what happens is that the visual cortex, it sees the rubber hand being touched. And we know that our body is like, we know that our arms are placed right where they are. We know our nose is on our face. Our body is completely aware of this. Our brain is completely aware of this. I'm sorry. So when the brain sees the rubber hand being placed and touched in the same exact manner that the hidden hand is as well, it kind of associates it again, the feeling of familiarity. So it associates it with your real hand, and those neurons that are associated with your real hand on a daily basis start firing, and they convince your brain that that is your actual hand. And this is aided by other information from the somatosensory cortex, which again includes all of those emotions. It includes the amygdala, everything else. It makes you feel that your real hand is being touched at the same moment. And the premotor and parietal cortex, exactly, they combine these regions and they make that into logical thinking, and they say that, hey, this is actually what's happening to me, right? And as a result, they bind into one unified body experience, and they convince you that your rubber hand is your real hand. So when in the end the doctor or whoever is standing next to them hits their rubber hand, they feel the pain because they're associating that with their real hand. And your body again acts on prediction. So when someone hits you, your body reacts before it even feels that pain through the receptors slightly, when they think that, oh, so the hammer is hitting, so you're supposed to feel pain, and your brain immediately feels that. So thus, when the plastic hand is being hit, your body again starts to feel or experience that pain, when in reality your real hand hasn't been harmed at all. And this kind of is very interesting to think about because it shows that body ownership is more than just, it's not just, it's a construction of the brain. It's not like a fixed fact. Okay? Yeah, amazing. So let's watch this very short video actually on this phenomenon. And yeah, that's I think the end of the session anyway. So this is the last video.
Is going to hurt your brain, okay? Now look at this. I am touching both a fake hand and your real hand, correct? So if I can just touch every single finger and you just keep looking at the fake hand, you can't see your real hand, correct?
No.
I can really change the way you feel things, okay? I'm gonna show you in a second. Do you feel this?
Yeah.
Where do you feel this?
On my middle finger. Knuckle.
Do you feel, does this hurt?
I mean, just a little.
Does this hurt?
Yeah, just a little bit
A little
of
bit?
pressure.
Where do you feel it?
On my index finger.
And this?
My middle finger.
Okay. Now, where do you feel this?
Ow!
Did you feel it?
Yeah.
Exactly, that's an illusion. You wouldn't think so, but yes. Okay. Lastly, okay, so this is the last task of the day. I'm sorry, guys, I'm keeping you guys for a bit too long. But yeah, so I want you guys to use AI and search of some common or unique illusions and share them with us. Or you can simply just tell us a story about how you've experienced an illusion, for example. I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes to just think or use AI to come up with these illusions. And yeah, we'll discuss them or just quickly share them with each other after you're done, and then we can end the session. Anyone at all? Guys. Oh, okay, so sorry, my chat wasn't loading. Okay, so I saw this in a book yesterday, and AI also talked about it. It's the checker shadow illusion. A square in shadow looks darker than the identical square outside the shadow, even though they're the same shade. Oh, that's so cool. What do you think like happens there? What's the possible explanation there regarding the parts of the brain that are involved with it? Hmm. Okay, um, the next illusion, Anya, yes. So the old woman and the young woman picture, where if you look at the same picture in different ways, you see a young woman looking away or an old woman looking down. Ooh, hmm. I wonder how that would play out to your brain regions. One illusion was to show us in elementary school was a young lady old illusion. Same thing. Yes. Oh yes, the paranoia. Paranoia is a very, very common you know, a symptom of several neurodegenerative disorders. So would you guys be able to relate to that in some sense? Because in illusions, you're having like, misfiring, you're having mix-ups. So when you have neurodegenerative disorders, won't these mix-ups be far more common because your neurons are not working well or they're kind of, degenerating. So therefore, you are more prone to symptoms such as paranoia. I usually keep my watch at the dressing table every day, same place. One day I was searching for my watch, completely confident that I kept the watch the day before in the same place. But seems like I gave it a repair 3 days before. I was like, what is happening? Exactly, this is what your mind is playing games. But it's not really, it's not your poor mind's fault. You're just, you're making those connections. Did I miss anything? Okay. So a while ago, Yumna had asked, how does the increase of cortisol or anxiety affect dreams? So just, yeah, exactly. Okay, so cortisol again is one of the many body hormones. So in the again we have the HPA axis, right? So now the cortisol is kind of like the fight or flight response. So this is like a perfect example of how it's being activated when it shouldn't be. So when you have a dream, you're experiencing all of these events that are not real, right? And your amygdala is giving you these emotions, and your prefrontal cortex is very low in logic, and as a result this serves as a real stimulus, believe it or not. So when you're actually doing, for example, you're actually getting scared by your friend or you're being chased by a bear, your cortisol levels are high, so you're in your flight or fight response. But when you're having these dreams, the same stimulus is activating or causing the release of your cortisol. So it's quite interesting to see that your dreams as well, which is not actually reality, can trigger this hormone release. Okay. Another one is a blue and black dress or the white and gold dress. Yeah, this is like the most infamous illusion. The one where you differentiate the shoe. Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I know this one as well. Do you know the feeling or sensation of being responsible for the world's misfortunes or that you're worthless? I don't understand what you quite mean by that. Some people cry during sleep or have tears in real life after sleeping. Exactly. So this is again comes down to the how I mentioned that the amygdala has high levels of acetylcholine, right? It's experiencing all of those emotions as you would in real life if that event were happening to you, right? So your brain is completely doing the exact same mechanisms. It feels these same emotions. It's just that it's using memories instead of actual events. So your emotions or your reactions to certain things within the dream and outside of the dream are going to be quite the same, and you might think that, oh, if I'm dreaming about it and I'm sad in the dream, shouldn't I be crying in the dream itself and not in real life? Well, our brain is working extremely hard. Sometimes it misfires, sometimes it confuses things, so you can do both. You can do one, you can do only crying in real life. So it really just depends, because you're still feeling the emotion. Even if you are crying in your dream, you're still feeling that emotion, and that can manifest itself in different ways, if that makes sense. Hmm. I mean, like, I really like you guys' questions, by the way. I super appreciate this being so interactive. I think that's it. I think that's the end of it. Thank you guys so much for joining. I had an absolute blast in this session. It was so fun. And I am a biomedical science student, so this is genuinely my passion. It's my favorite thing to talk about, and recently neuroscience has been at the number one list of things I love. And yeah, if you have any questions, I'm going to put my email in the chat. It could be about university in general. I'm assuming a lot of you guys are high school students. If you have any questions about that, if you have any questions about neuroscience, any questions about biomedical science, please let me know. I'm absolutely delighted when students messaged me. Last year there were two or three that gave me a nice little email. It made my entire day. So let me know if you have anything, and if you guys liked this session, you can rate it. Actually, you can tell me if I did anything wrong. If you'd like to see a little more of something, or you'd rather me not do or say certain things, you can also give me feedback. But yes, I had so much fun. Would you guys mind if I take a quick screenshot for my LinkedIn? I'm a LinkedIn warrior. Are you guys also LinkedIn warriors? I'm a LinkedIn warrior. Oh, no, no, no. Please don't play this. Let's go back to the first dude. What is Yes, okay, works fine now.
Thank you so much, Uzra. I think that was a really interactive session. I have seen very few interactive sessions so far in STEM Quest 3, but this was the one that was really interactive. And thank you to all
Oh,
the
thank you so
participants as
much.
well.
Thank you guys so much. That was amazing. Yeah, thank you, StunQuest, as well. They're doing such an incredible job, guys. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the sessions. And yeah, please do give me feedback if you'd want. And I hope you guys have the rest of the week go really well for you. And yeah, thank you guys so much. Amazing. Amazing, Tisha. Bye bye. See you guys. Thank you
Thank
guys
you,
so much.
everyone.
Bye bye.
Take care.
Bye bye.